Hi everyone, welcome back to Karleen. Hello, Karleen. I'm Karleen. I'm so glad to see you here, and especially on the topic of this video today, we're going to be diving into the priest Bérenger Saunière and the small tiny town of Rennes-le-Château and the mysteries around it. So I'll do a brief recap because I'm sure you've heard of the story, and if you haven't, there's so much out there, so much written, and so many people that have gone and tried to figure things out themselves. And maybe you're going to join me on going there and trying to figure things out yourself in September 2025. Yes. Yes. This is going to be a profound mystery tour with some really interesting and not so well known sites, some secret spots as well, that I am doing in collaboration with a connection of mine. And yeah, well, I have more information if you would like more information, of course. But let's dive into this because this is definitely one of the spots that we're going to see, that we're going to visit, that we're going to experience, soak up the energies, and maybe find a clue to what was the treasure? What did Bérenger Saunière find? Thanks for joining me here, you guys. And we're going to deep dive into one of France's most tantalizing mysteries, the story of Bérenger Saunière and the enigmatic village of Rennes-le-Château. This tale has inspired treasure hunters, conspiracy theorists, and even novels like Dan Brown, The Da Vinci Code. But what's fact and what's fiction? Will we ever know? I'm not quite sure, but we can ask the tarot to see if things will be revealed in time. So come with me to Rennes-le-Château. It lies in the Languedoc region of France, a quiet, picturesque village with a population of less than 100. Despite its small size, this village has become a focal point for intrigue, largely thanks to its most famous resident, Bérenger Saunière, a priest whose mysterious actions and sudden wealth have sparked theories that span centuries and continents. To understand Saunière's story, we need to think about the unique history of the region, which has been tied to the Cathars, the Knights Templar, and whispers of hidden treasures. And these treasures were rumored to have come from Jerusalem during the Crusades, or even previous to that. In 1885, Saunière arrived at the dilapidated church of St. Mary Magdalene in Rennes-le-Château. Shortly after beginning renovations, he reportedly discovered a collection of parchments hidden in a hollow pillar beneath the altar. What was on these documents remains speculative. Some say genealogies connecting Jesus and Mary Magdalene to a royal bloodline, and others suggest coded messages leading to treasure. Whatever Saunière found, it marked the beginning of his transformation. He began spending extraordinary sums of money, constructing the luxurious Villa Bethania and the neo-Gothic Tour Magdala, restoring the church with ornate, almost surreal details, and even commissioning artwork with peculiar religious symbolism. Now, remember how small this village is. This village only had at the time and still does 80 to 100 people. Apparently, Saunière was sent to this village as a disciplinary action. But some speculate now that he was sent exactly for this reason, to find whatever was hidden in that region in Rennes-le-Château, and that he already had a mission when he got there. Once he found whatever it was he was looking for, it's almost as if he was hired to stay there and guard it because he was paid extraordinarily. This wasn't some, a mega priest, of a mega church or something like that. It was literally 80 people in some rocky hilltop village in the middle of nowhere as far as everyone was concerned. And he began spending money like no village priest would ever make this amount of money. So some of the money that he earned was tracked to donations by wealthy people, but always also his brother. But it didn't explain the full amount of money that he was becoming, which was way beyond the means of a village priest then and possibly now. So the things that he decorated the church with are also up for, chit chat, because these weren't the usual decorations that he put out there. There are devils and weird symbolisms, weird Latin phrases, like very strange things. But this region is known to be a little bit on the strange side. It was already a profound region for the Celts and the Druids prior to Christianity. And so some of these holy sites were taken over by Christians afterwards, but the energy and the essence still remains. And some of them we're going to get to see. Yes, yes, yes. But in any case, moving on. This is where the conspiracy theories take center stage. Sauniere's actions caught the attention of writers and researchers who speculated he had uncovered a massive secret. Enter Pierre Plantard, a Frenchman who claimed to have documents proving the existence of the Priory of Sion, a secret society guarding the bloodline of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. This theory was popularized by authors Michael Bijon, Henry Lincoln, and Richard Lee in their book Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Their investigation suggested Saunière had been paid to protect the secret, linking him to powerful and shadowy networks. The connection to Mary Magdalene is particularly significant. Rennes-le-Château is dedicated to her and already was before Saunière got there. And some believe it was once part of a hidden trail for early Christians escaping persecution. The peculiar art and inscriptions Saunière commissioned, such as the demon statue and the cryptic Latin phrases I mentioned before, only deepen the mystery. But was any of it true? Pierre Plantard Priory of Sion was apparently later exposed as a hoax when he went back on what he said for whatever reasons. I think, if I remember correctly, he was being dragged into court by the French government. And he claimed it was all a hoax based on that. However, the allure of the mystery remained, especially after Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code brought it to global attention. Saunière died in 1917, leaving behind unanswered questions. His personal wealth remains unaccounted for, and while most historians believe his fortune came from selling masses and indulgences to wealthy donors, the legend of a hidden treasure persists. Ultimately, the story of Rennes-le-Château may never be fully solved, but what it leaves us with is a fascinating blend of history, myth, and imagination and intuition, which we're going to dive into. An enduring mystery that continues to inspire. What do you think? What do you believe? Is this a simple tale of a corrupt village priest, or is this something more? You guys. Okay, let's dive into this. Now, so much I didn't mention in this really brief pulling things together. These are just the core points of a very multifaceted, multidimensional, multi-timeline, massive story spanning all kinds of different interest groups and agendas. And it's just wild how it all comes together in Rennes-le-Château, this tiny village, which nowadays has apparently under 100 people living there, but every year explodes with tourists trying to solve that mystery, trying to figure it out, trying to find that one more coin or something. But yeah, so there's so much I didn't mention. For example, the pentagram and how it was discovered that the pentagram actually represents Mary Magdalene, because it describes the pattern of Venus. So each planet, as it moves through its cycles over a certain period of time, for Venus, it's 8 years, pretty much through its movements creates a certain pattern, as you can see here, right? Venus is the one with the pentacle. And so this came to represent the feminine and the divine feminine. And of course, over the years, as femininity and powerful femininity was relegated to the devil, was relegated to evil. Also, the pentagram came to symbolize something evil, but in ancient esoteric traditions, it wasn't necessarily. It was the planet Venus, which represented the Mary Magdalene in esotericism. And the movements of Venus over an 8-year period drew a pentacle. So that, by the way, is part of the mystery of Rennes-le-Château, because Rennes-le-Château lies in a pentacle, and there are geographical spots that represent, show that it's in a pentacle. So it's a very mysterious region of France. And I have to say, when I was in France, that the energy wasn't like what I knew from northern France, because I traveled to northern France and that felt beautiful. France for me just feels beautiful. But oh my goodness, the region I was in, it was so profound, it was so soft. And there was a church that I went to, and I did a video from that church. If you scroll back, you'll still see it. But that church was supposedly founded for Saint Veronica, or Saint Veronique. And Saint Veronica was the woman who fell to Jesus's, who said, "If I could just touch his cloak, I will be healed." And apparently, after the crucifixion, she and her husband left the Middle East and traveled, as so many of them did, to southern France to relocate and restart their lives and eventually evangelize the region. But they didn't just do that. There is a distinct energy there that is hard to put into words. It's very soft, it's very subtle, it's very light, it's very feminine, extremely feminine, almost like a powder puff, and you can feel it all around you. And I just, wow, 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 wow. You guys are going to love it. You guys are going to love it. So let's dive in and have a look at, with the cards, at this story and see what comes up. We want to know, who was Bérenger Saunière? What did he find? If there are any clues that we can get to, that we can hear or read. And will we ever find out the truth? Okay, will the truth ever come to light? So let's have a look here. Bérenger Saunière. Yeah, the Villa Bethania, the Tour Magdala. This, by the way, is the Tour Magdala. This is what he used for his library. And right across from it, so in that direction actually, is the Villa Bethania, which is a beautiful villa that he built and would have been way too much for the priest of a parish with 80 parishioners. Like it's normally it wouldn't have been in the card. So what was he getting paid for? And who paid him? And yeah, when the church asked him where did he get his money from, the Bishop of Carcassonne came right out and asked him, "Where's your money coming from?" He refused to answer, and he was dodging and weaving and just not replying, and so on and so forth. And eventually, he was pulled off his post. He went to Rome, complained in Rome. Rome made him do penance. He did the penance, and then they gave him the posting back of Rennes-le-Château. Okay. Anyhow, so something was definitely found there that was absolutely profound. This was also the region of the Cathars and the Templar Knights, who had a completely different version of Christianity than what was being practiced back then. Completely different beliefs. They'd brought also, the Templar Knights, many artifacts back with them from the Middle East, from the Holy Lands. What was among those artifacts that they brought back with them? Or if these artifacts came from before, way before, because apparently Saunière found documents that were writing down history in history. So already in 1200s, they were writing about what was previous to that. He found apparently a grave of one of the first Merovingian kings, and the Merovingian bloodline is connected to the Holy Grail, Jesus and Mary Magdalene, supposedly having a child. Now, when this all came out like 30, 40 years ago, and it became like the big hot topic, it was blasphemy. It was horrible. It caused people to really go into anxiety attacks, meltdowns. It's very interesting to see how we respond when our beliefs are kind of shaken, right? What we feel to be absolutely true. It was roundly rejected. Back then, I believe that a lot wasn't written or put out into the public that they actually knew to safeguard themselves and the story and the history. And now I'm thinking, what if they did find bones in a grave? Because they kind of stressed that it wasn't a material treasure as much. Like, it was a small material treasure, but what was much bigger was some other kind of treasure. What did they find? And can you imagine how the world would respond? Oh my goodness. So let's see here. What went down? Who was Bérenger Saunière? Who was he? How did people see him back then when he was alive? How did he see himself? How did only others see him? And how does spirit see him? The overall energy that he lived in. We've got the Seven of Wands. This was a man defending something, defending his faith, the Star card. Yeah. He was standing up against a lot of pressure, pushing back, holding the line, not revealing, holding on to the secret. But it had to do with some kind of a really high, profound, deep mystery. The star is really has to do with your faith, has to do with the principle, a guiding star. But we also see a feminine figure here. So there's something about the feminine that is really, really, really profound. And it could be that Mary Magdalene was the one, which is what people also thought after Jesus's crucifixion. Either he survived and he went with her, or he survived and he went somewhere else, or he survived and he stayed there. Like there are only four possibilities, yeah, on a physical level, right? And or he passed away and or left this earth, didn't pass away, left this earth. And Mary Magdalene took his teachings and then started her own church, her own teachings in the south of France, and then these teachings kind of keep coming up and kept coming up again through the Cathars, through the Templar Knights, through the Huguenots, through all these different beliefs that were coming out of this region of enlightenment that they called it, in southern France. And it's quite the territory down there. So anyways, let's see. So Saunière, how did people see him? Saunière was known to be a little, very traditionalist and right-wing. And the Priory of Sion was also not just there to guard the bloodline of Jesus Christ, apparently. All this I'm saying is apparently, but also to reinstall a monarchy in France. That was their ultimate goal. And what legitimized that goal, of course, was the bloodline. And that was the true line of kings. And so it could be that they drew some conclusions in the past, connected because the divine right of kings, that right of kings came from God, right? So what more of a divine right in Catholic countries could there be than being of the bloodline? So it could be that a kind of story was told that wasn't quite true, but had a little something there. Or it is true, or it's totally fabricated. We don't know, right? So, but apparently Saunière was a part of this. He was apparently very right wing, kind of very conservative, traditionalist. He only lived with his housekeeper, with whom people kind of like all historians tend to go, nah, he wouldn't, because he was so pure when it came to that, like his expressions, what he wrote in his diary, apparently, or what he wrote down in notes on how to treat the staff. And so it was a very proper relationship between him and his housekeeper. But she was the only one who knew all his secrets, who he would confide in and connect with. And but he passed away in 1917. She passed away in the 50s, the early 50s, and kept his secrets, didn't say a word. She was mum. So how did others see him? They saw him as extremely gifted, happy, satisfied. This is the 10 of Cups, someone who also brought satisfaction, who also brought happiness. I would say there's a certain amount of wealth that goes in with the 10 of Cups as well. I mean, you've got to, what is happy to you when you're a poor parishioner and you see this wealthy priest who's able to, gift you things? But he's also very attached to his home. The Cups is very emotional. It's very tied to something. So this shows he was tied to his land, tied to his people, tied to his home, tied to his parishioners. And it is known of him that he helped them. He also built a water tower for them. He paved the roads, and the water tower allowed them to have water in everybody to have running water in their homes. But he also, yeah, paved the roads and made things happen for them, just make their lives easier. How he saw himself is the keeper of the grail. And that just came straight out. That just flew out of my mouth. But we see here the King of Cups, and the King of Cups is holding a cup and looking at it. So he sees himself as the keeper of the Grail. Remember, the Grail is a cup. What's interesting is that he had a friend, another priest or bishop or something like a priest, I believe, in a neighboring town whom he gifted a beautiful cup that he'd found inside as part of the treasure in this church. So it's generally accepted that he found some kind of a treasure. They just don't know how big the treasure was, how much it was, what kind of a treasure, but it's known that he sometimes paid in gold in these strange coins, and that he gifted people little items here and there that nobody knew where they came from, but they were very valuable and clearly very old. And one of these was one of these cups that he gave to his fellow priest, who happened to turn up murdered. But that is a part B. I can't fit it all in here. So here we have the justice card as well, how people perceived him, but he didn't perceive himself. Him following his own law. Okay, he followed his own law. He was a law unto himself. And he tried to be just, he tried to be fair, he tried to be very proper in all his dealings, but he was a law unto himself and followed his own tenets. And how spirit sees him, there are two things. Number one, it feels like there was a lot of anger in him, which may have turned into something else. We don't know. Someone who kept beating a dead horse, like going around in circles on a specific topics that situations that wouldn't leave his mind. Also someone who is desirous, like extremely desirous. There's an element of greed there. So greed with the lust card. This is the lust card. Traditionally, it's the strength card, right? But it has an aspect of this deeper desire. So he seems to have had a desire for things, either knowledge or items or gold or something or the other. But Spirit sees him as someone who is also immediately also what came up is because some say that he was the one who had a hand in the unaliving of a of his friend, his acquaintance. So that's another completely different rabbit hole, but I'm wondering if, right? Because this card pops up a lot in my readings because when it comes to people that have committed something, okay, that have done something, and it's this specific card, this strength card, exerted their willpower or strength over someone else or something else. So there's something here that is also part of the mystery. Did he or didn't he? Was he a part of the unaliving of his friend or not? So let's see. Let's continue. What did he find? I don't want to get sidetracked with all these other questions. Like I said, it is this whole story is multidimensional, multifaceted, flows through time, and is massive. So what did he find? Tarot. Can we get some clues, Spirit, as to what he may have found? What he may have found. I don't, I have a feeling because already I feel like I'm in the underground. I'm underneath the earth, and there's something. I'm underneath the earth. There's some kind of there's stones all around me, there's rock all around me, but something, there it's a ruin underneath there. It's a ruin. But there's a strange atmosphere, there's strange inscriptions, there's strange things. It's a strange energy. It's very creepy. For myself personally, I wouldn't have gone down there. And that's why I feel like he already kind of knew what he was looking for in a sense. He was sent there. He was definitely, I feel he was sent there. But when he was sent there, he didn't really have, he didn't really know. It was just generalized. And when he got there and he was in it, and all of a sudden the penny started falling, and he was like, "Oh my gosh." So it's big, but whatever he found, it would bring the entire structure of our world crumbling. I do feel that right now. I do feel that. So let's see. Can I get a hint, please? What was it that Saunière found? I also feel he was a witness. All of a sudden, it just popped up. It just came in out of nowhere. I was a witness to a love story. and the story of love and love over that passed through time. Oh my goodness, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps, y'all. But he was a witness to a love story, and that love story was incredible. It was profound. It was ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. Oh my goodness. Okay. What did Saunière find? So it's definitely a secret. Two of Swords is blocked off. Definitely has to do with Mary Magdalene. Could have to do with the offspring of Mary Magdalene. The Queen of Coins is someone who's very rooted in an area, who's very grounded, who's very feminine, who's very physical manifestation. And resting spot. Two of Swords, resting spot of Mary Magdalene. Okay. That's literally what I'm getting here. But this is also a a firm secret, a real secret, because this is a pregnant woman. Okay. And usually in the traditional tarot, the Queen of Coins as well as the Empress, they're pregnant. Okay. So hmm. All right. So this is, yeah, this caused him sadness. Whatever he found caused him great sadness, great grief, heartbreak, pain, grief, disillusionment, disenchantment. It was not her, it was definitely, this is the Pope, quite literally, in the knot position. So it wasn't part of the church lore. Whatever he found would have broken this all apart. Oh, who he was paid by or who supported him. There are people in government back then that did that. Something to do with government. This is the emperor. So something to do with some kind of governance or government, okay, that got involved with this. And I feel like you know how you say treasures are best hidden in plain sight? So I feel like they made the decision, since nobody knew about it, he stumbled across from it. The best place was to keep it hidden there because nobody was going to think about it there. To move it would have caused all kinds of, and they did eventually move it. They did move it, but not right away. That's what I'm hearing. They did move it, but not right away. And I'm also hearing he confided in one person, and that one person confided in a group, and that group kind of they already knew what they were dealing with. Something very, like, very shadowy and secretive here. So the outcome is, I'm telling you, this is the one person he confided in. This is the King of Coins as well. Okay. Someone with a lot of money, a lot of authority, working with some kind of governance or ordinance. The Lover's card. It said that he found a skull down there. There are various things, okay, but one of the things is that he found some kind of a the tomb of an emperor or of an emperor king. This could have been the tomb of Clovis or something like that, apparently. And but there's some kind of strange inscription linking Jesus to that. There's also that he found the bones of Mary Magdalene. By the way, we're also going to be visiting a shrine and a church, official church, Catholic, that says it has the bones of Mary Magdalene. And these bones have been on display for God knows how long. I haven't looked it up, but they're on display. And so scientists in France took these bones because it's a skull bone and some other bones, and they made an image of what she must have looked like. So this is the skull, and this is the image of what she must have looked like. It's computer aided, of course, but that's wild, right? So it's wild. The story goes that after the crucifixion, Mary and her servant Sarah, and she was pregnant, and someone else was in the boat, but they took a boat across the Mediterranean, landed in the southern France, and settled in that region and an area, and that they were working there. Some say that Jesus was with her and that he passed away in France. And it could be that Saunière found either her bones, the bones of her child, or even the big one. Who knows, right? Who knows? But the tarot is saying it was a, and it's, I was getting that inclination before that he witnessed a love story, and it keeps, witnessed a love story. And there's something about the sacredness of this, right? So there's also a child angel. There's a wedding here. So it's something to do with a marriage, maybe something around the inscription, or maybe something that proved that this was actually true. It could also be that there were bones that were removed out of Jerusalem, or items proving who Mary Magdalene was out of Jerusalem and brought to France with the rest of the treasure that they took out of the temple. Who knows, right? Who knows? But what I'm picking up here is he was witness to a love story that had profound ramifications for everyone and everything, and it was so deep, whatever he found, that they were willing to pay him to guard it. He'll pay him to guard it. He passed away at 65. So I personally, I feel like I'm picking up that the stress of it all, it kind of took him with it, because he was traveling a lot for this, to try to find out more information, to try to get cryptic things decoded, to try to learn more. He was speaking to strange people through to really highly deeply entrenched people, and so he was, and probably without revealing the full story each time, like dancing around what he actually wanted. I don't know, but I'm feeling like he was very careful whom he revealed what to. Um, And legend has it that when Saunière passed away and the priest came that replaced him, right? Because remember, the bishop took him out for punishment, removed him from his post because he wouldn't reveal where his monies were coming from. And there was a priest that replaced him, but the parishioners didn't go there. They stayed loyal to Saunière and continued going to his masses, which he then held in his garden. But fast forward a couple of years, he's received this post again. The other priest went somewhere else, but when he was on his deathbed, that priest came to take his last rites. And apparently the priest was in there with him for hours and hours and hours, and then left pale as a sheet without giving him Saunière his last rites. So Saunière died a sinner, and he is buried at Villa Bethania. And but whatever he had to say, it rocked that other priest's world. It was, yeah. And that story is repeated because there was another one who passed away before that who experienced similar after telling the full story. So let's see. Will this secret ever be revealed? Will it ever be revealed? Will it ever be told? Has the secret already come to light? Will it ever come to light, and when? Has the secret already come to light? Now, again, right? What is the secret about? It is definitely about something that would affect the world. This is the Empress. Also has to do with the divine feminine, has to do with Mary Magdalene. Like, this is already leaked. This is already out, right? Oh, and underneath we have the knights that are protecting the Grail. This is the Knight of Cups, the Knights of Love. And here again, the Lovers card. Okay, so they're literally saying that, this was a love story. This was a love story. Okay, a marriage, a wedding, fruitfulness, because this is not the high priestess. She wasn't a priestess. She was a wife. She was the empress. Okay. It's very, in the past, it was safely guarded, 4 of coins. Right now, it's slowly being considered. Now, what's interesting is we have here something new. Okay, this is the Page of Cups holding the Grail. This can represent a child. It can represent a pet, but I don't think we're talking about pets here. Can represent part-time jobs, but I also don't think we're talking about a part-time job here. So I'm going to go with the child, okay? So there's something about a child, which would, of course, indicate a lineage that comes from that region that is very, very, very interesting to look at. But it would herald in a new age, or in a new age or a new cycle of the earth. This may be revealed or spoken about, okay? In a new cycle of humanity, when humanity is at the after a cataclysm or something like that, and it restarts again. If that happens, that's when, when humanity's stepping into something new, that's when it's going to open up. But until for a while into the future, this is the Eight of Swords, it's going to be kept under wraps, meaning that people know, there are people out there that absolutely 100% know what this is in its entirety, and they're keeping mum. Mum's the word, mum. But according to the cards, it does look like there was a family, there was a holy family that they fled and that they settled in in France. There are also the story is so big and huge, and it's long and very many parts as to how everybody got to their information and their conclusion. So if you're interested in this, check it out. But we're definitely going on a trip there. Yes, my loves, it's already. And again, if you are interested in the pre-information to the September 2025 Sacred Tour, Holy Tour, um, text me, because this is going to be, I'm a magical person living in a magical world, and this is going to be a magical, magical, magical tour through magical territory with magical stops. And it's really going to be amazing. Something you do not want to miss. Yeah. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. And let me just pull one last card, one final card, to what Spirit has to say on this whole story of Sonia, Mary Magdalene, France, all of it. What does Spirit or the Tarot have to say? And I'm getting, it's not enough with one card, so the bottom card and the top card. And I've got the Seven of Swords and the Six of Wands. There will be a victory over deception, okay? Whatever it is, somehow we're being deceived. It might mean the information being withheld from us is actually information that belongs to us, that belongs to humanity. But the first card that came out is deception, and then the second card, there will be a victory over deception. This is the Six of Wands. We've got the Queen of Coins. Mary Magdalene existed, absolutely existed, and she was right there. Okay, right there. And the Templar Knights had a treasure, right? Before the Friday, the ominous Friday the 13th, before the order was reformed, because we all know the Templar Knights didn't die, which was what King Philip back then intended, that the order die out, but it was reshaped, reformed, reorganized into something else, which is still active today. But this is what the Templar Knights protected back then during those chaotic times when they were being hunted, and they had to hide their most valuable things away from the king, the church, the country, people that wouldn't know, and they had to hide it so well that nobody would ever think about. And where better than Rennes-le-Château? Thanks for watching, you guys, and I'm excited to hear from you and your thoughts on this, and excited to get things going on this trip to 2025. Again, if you would like more information, because I'm not going to, put it out there too much, because I really want you to feel called to this. I want a select group. The number is limited, has to be. So let me know if you're interested, and I will get you that information as soon as I get your message. Take care. Bye.